Welcome to the special lecture on World Heritage Day. World Heritage Day is celebrated to boost local communities and people to know the importance of cultural heritage in their lives. It aims to spread awareness about diversity and the susceptibility of cultural heritage amid efforts to conserve them. The day is celebrated world over on 18th April. The idea behind observing World Heritage Day is to make people of different geographical regions meet with each other and share information about their history, heritage and traditions. As of April 2022, a total of 1154 World Heritage Sites have been identified across 167 countries. Out of these, 897 have been categorized as cultural sites, 218 as natural sites, and 39 are having mixed features. The countries with the most World Heritage Sites are Italy, which is supposed to have 58 sites, then China, which has 56, followed by Germany, which has 51, France, which has 49, Spain, which has 49, India 40, Mexico 35, United Kingdom 33, and Russia 30, and so on and so forth. Now, if we have to define a World Heritage Site, it can be defined as a natural or a man-made area or a structure that is of international importance and space which requires special protection. So, UNESCO believes that the sites classified as World Heritage hold special cultural and physical significance, and so they must be treated accordingly. There are in all, out of the total 1092 UNESCO World Heritage Sites worldwide, some have been categorized as cultural, some as natural, and some as a mixture. And out of all these, 55 are in danger, like the birthplace of Jesus, Church of the Nativity, or pilgrimage route in Bethlehem, and many more. Now let us discuss as to what have been different ways to celebrate World Heritage Day and how you can celebrate it today. The glorious past has much to add to the beautiful treasures of world cultures. So children can be made aware of World Heritage Day through recreational activities in schools. It could also include storytelling sessions, visits to monuments and heritage sites in India, or organizing essay and speech writing competitions, then drawing and poster making design, photography contests of ancient heritage monuments, conducting heritage festivals, telecasting movies with messages of culture and traditions. Communities can also post images, collect great information, and prepare videos on ways to preserve our rich cultural past. We can encourage community participation within our respective countries and spread messages to our families and friends through social media using hashtags. So therefore, visiting a monument is not the only way of respecting this day or celebrating this day. There are different ways, and whatever suits a particular community or a group or an institution, whether it is a school or a college or even families, they must do some activity or the other. So communities can definitely make this day worth memorable, and also by posting images and collecting information, as well as by preparing videos on ways to preserve these monuments, a very interesting documentary can be made. In addition to these suggestions, one can also organize expert talks, webinars, podcasts on heritage concerned topics, and this would also be a wonderful learning as well as a celebration idea. Then discussions and virtual tours about famous monumental sites could also be a very interesting activity, and especially in these times when travel is still restricted and COVID is still round the corner, these kind of virtual activities can be far more practical as well as meaningful. Now coming to the whole issue of what is a World Heritage Site. So a World Heritage Site has been described as a landmark site of cultural and natural importance as recognized by UNESCO and offered special care and preservation, and such a site is termed as a World Heritage Sites. These sites own global appraise in universal recognition and are considered of immense value to humanity and its rich cultural legacy. World Heritage Sites belong to all world citizens and are not limited by territories or locations, backed by lawsuits for protection through international treaties. These sites are the elements of protection, recognition, risk. They also portray diversities in geological as well as biological landscapes. And again, it can be said that they are of interest to the global communities. Now, let us discuss most popular UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Around the world, these supernatural legendary sites have amusing, interesting and adventurous stories to tell humanity. Some of the sites that can be mentioned, though this does not include the entire list. For example, Bagan in Myanmar, which has more than 2200 temples lined up amidst the lush green misty landscapes. Then one can also talk about Sintra in Portugal for its marvelous life-size gardens with tropical flowering beds and charismatic fortresses. Then of course Venice in Italy is the perfect picturesque location for exploring the never-ending floating cities and the famous gondola strolls. Then Colosseum in Italy has the world's largest amphitheatre, offering a mystic understanding of its mind-blowing ancient past. So the entire history is recaptured if one is standing in front of Colosseum. The Vatican City in Rome's Central District is home to some of the most splendid architectural marvels and sculptures that define art. Then Cinque Terre in Italy is known for its beautiful natural landscapes that house multicolored mansions, coastlines as well as marine oceans. Then Zar, the Moroccan village, is known for constructing buildings exclusively from mud and for its natural desert during moonlight. For its unique palace designs and artistic showcases, Istanbul in Turkey bridges the cultural and religious diversities between Asia and Europe. Then rock sites in Turkey, where tourists can enjoy caves, a night full of gazing stars, and most of all, a place that we can hardly believe ever existed. Then one can also talk about the Great Wall of China for its impeccable structure of the huge wall spanning more than 20,000 kilometers. Then one can talk about Angkor Wat, as you can see in this visual. The largest religious temple in the world, Angkor Wat, is a temple complex dedicated originally to the Hindu deity Vishnu, which was then transformed into a Buddhist temple by the end of the 12th century. Built in the early 12th century by King Suryavarman II of the Khmer Empire, the temple embodies the classical Khmer style of architecture and also features on the Cambodian flag. Then another very interesting site one can talk about is Machu Picchu. A trip to Peru is not complete without a trek to Machu Picchu at almost 8,000 feet. This is a citadel. It is situated where the Andes and the Amazon basin meet, and the natural beauty of the structure is unparalleled. As one walks among the cloud, there are varied landscapes and diverse flora and fauna. The ancient buildings and breathtaking views, as well as local llamas, are truly a sight to behold, as you can see in this visual as well. Then there is the Sigiriya Lion Rock, which is a magnificent fortress and a temple complex atop a high volcanic plateau. Locally also called the eighth wonder of the world, this stunning site features high on the list of places to visit. The main entrance is shaped like a huge stone lion whose feet survived the ravages of time. Sigiriya's western wall is decorated with beautiful frescoes. And of course, not to miss Taj Mahal, which was actually a mausoleum built between 1632 and 1653 in the city of Agra. It sits on the banks of Yamuna river and was commissioned by Shah Jahan, the Mughal emperor, and the imposing set of buildings was built in honor of the favorite wife Mumtaz Mahal, who died delivering her 14th child. It is estimated that its construction required the efforts of around 20,000 workers. Then there is another very interesting site, that is Cinque Terre. In Italian, it means five lands. It is a rugged portion of the coast on the Riviera of Italy. There are 5 popular Cinque Terre villages, and due to the scenic beauty, trails and untouched architecture, all these 5 villages have been added to the list of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So these villages are Mer, Vernazza, Corniglia, Menoriala and Rio Maguire. As you can see, the beauty of this site also seems to be unmatched. Now let us talk about some of very important sites which are there in India and which have been added to the World Heritage Sites. So for example, the Ajanta caves, which were added to the list of the World Heritage Sites in 1983. Then the Ellora caves, again in 1983. A group of monuments at Mahabalipuram, 1984. They were added in 1984. Mahabalipuram monuments were founded by Pallava kings in the 7th and the 8th centuries along the Coromandel coast of Bay of Bengal. These temples boast of intricate and unique architectural styles in the form of rathas, that is, there were temples in the form of chariots, mandapas, that is cave sanctuaries, and giant open air reliefs such as Descent of the Ganges. It also encloses the temple of Rivage with thousands of sculptures dedicated to Shiva. Then another very important addition was in 1984, that of the Konark Sun Temple. The group of monuments at Hampi were added in 1986. Then the Khajuraho group of monuments also have been added to the list. The Elephanta caves were added in 1987. The Elephanta caves are located at Elephanta Island or island of Gharapur, literally city of caves, in the Sea of Oman, which is quite close to Mumbai. It contains a collection of rock art connected to the Shaivite cult. It is a vital symbol of the greatness of Indian art, especially the huge high reliefs of the main cave. They were constructed around the mid-5th to 6th centuries AD. Then the Chola temples that were added to the list in 1987. Built by the kings of Chola Empire, these temples manifest the precision and perfection of the Cholas in architecture, sculpture, painting, as well as bronze casting. This site includes three 11th and 12th century temples, Brihadeshwara temple at Thanjavur, then Brihadeshwara temple at Gangai Konda Cholasviram and Airavateshwara temple at Darasuram. The temple of Gangai Konda Cholasviram was built by Rajendra the first in 1035 and the Airavateshwara temple was built by Rajaraja II and these temples feature Viman of 53 meters and 24 meters respectively. So basically Viman, which is the sanctum tower, is clearly very impressive and that is a very special feature of these temples. Then the rock shelters of Bhimbetka, which was a prehistoric site, was given the status of World Heritage Site in 2003. Then if we come to more contemporary times, then the Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus was added to the list in 2004. This is an example of Victorian Gothic revival architecture in India, blended with themes deriving from Indian traditional architecture. The building was designed by the British architect F.W. Stevens and it became the symbol of Bombay as the Gothic city and the major international mercantile port of India. The terminal was built over 10 years starting in 1878 according to a high Victorian Gothic design based on late medieval Italian models. Its remarkable stone dome, turrets, pointed arches and eccentric ground plan are close to traditional Indian palace architecture also. Then in 2013, the hill forts of Rajasthan were also given the status of World Heritage Sites. The historic city of Ahmedabad was added to the list in 2017. Whereas we also see, interestingly, that it is not only about monuments and older buildings that World Heritage status is accorded. Some wildlife sanctuaries, for example, Manas Wildlife Sanctuary, was also given this status in 1984. And in 1987, it was the Sundarbans National Park which was added to the list. And the Western Ghats were declared World Heritage Site in 2012. The Great Himalayan National Park was also added to the list in 2014. So we see that all these sites which had been given the status of being World Heritage Site, these sites have gained global significance because they embody art, culture, civilization, ecology, biological life. They are of outstanding value to humanity and hence their importance cannot be overlooked. So now if we have to think today that how are we going to celebrate this day or how are we going to respect what all we have, I have given you a whole lot of ideas, and I'm sure that you would definitely look at some of these sites again and not only think about visiting them in near future, because that may not be possible for each one of us, but at least do our bit in order to make this world a better place to live. On World Heritage Day, it is important to plan events that would help people connect to the past, like heritage walks, museum, library tours, and also heritage property open days. Don't let an important site disappear from the world. We all must do our bit on this day to raise awareness and to preserve the legacy that we have got for future generations also. Thank you.